When you need something hearty to fuel you up fast, grab a can of Campbell's Chunky Soup. Packed with big chunks of meat and vegetables, and now in 50 flavors. Campbell's Chunky Soup, the hearty way to fuel your game. Find your flavor at Chunky.com.
I'm Andy Katz from ESPN, along with my co-host Seth Greenberg. On the latest edition of the ESPN College Basketball Podcast, we are going to discuss the notice of allegations at Louisville and Seth Greenberg on a tour around the country. Go to the ESPN app and click on the headphone icon to get our podcast.
This is Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Here comes Durant, 3-on-3. Durant pulls up, dialing long distance. Got another one!
The Warriors are doing a lot of trash talking. Apparently, I guess they talk a lot of trash now.
If you talk to me, I'll talk back. I don't really say much, but if you start, I'll finish it.
We all thought there was more to this relationship. Now, as we find out more and more that they didn't have that relationship, and that's normal.
By the way, I just want you all right?
I wiped it out with alcohol. So
yeah, well,
see what fun we can have when you show up on time?
Yes, I should have done this for 4 hours the last time we did this.
Now, here's Mike and Mike.
Well, Mike and Mike rolls on in the second hour. Trey Wingo in for Mike Greenberg, and on time today, Mike Golick is here. So really, this is about the time I showed up last time.
So here's, and I'm trying to figure if this is better or not.
Yeah.
So as Trey mentioned, he's here on time. If those who consistently watch this show and listen to the show, last time Trey co-hosted, he was an hour and 15 minutes late.
Factual statement.
So he missed over a quarter of the show.
Factual statement.
But he brought donuts.
Factual statement.
So is it better for him to have been late and bring donuts?
Travis says yes. But
or to be on time and not have donuts?
Travis says yes to the donuts. Yes to the. We should put up that on a poll question.
Oh,
better late less late with no donuts, or a little later with donuts.
You're conjuring your inner Le Batard with that. Put it in a poll.
Whatever.
I love what he does.
Call the company.
Make it a poll.
Make it a poll.
Make it a poll question.
All right, Mike and Mike,
that.
presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Hotline. And I know you're going to get sick of this because we're still talking about it, but you're Indians. But
they're singing, go, Cubs, go. Go, Cubs, go. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win.
Because the parade, Golick, is today.
The parade is today. Listen, I know the parade's going to be great. It wasn't too long ago that, Cleveland had their own parade. See how you just keep bringing it back to that?
City of Champions.
Well, of course it is. We just didn't want to hog them all,
See, you guys are givers.
We are givers.
You guys are givers.
Gave that away. No, really, it's going to – there are parades for champions, and then there are parades for champions. Mm-hmm. This is going to be in about the biggest upper echelon category you can have, right?
This is going to be the least productive day in the history of business.
Man, and that's cool. And we talked about it yesterday. And we actually got a tweet from someone who said their kid yesterday had 2 tests at school.
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that?
That's cruel and unusual.
It's crazy.
Which, by the way, is protected by the Constitution. That should not have happened.
That's exactly right.
Should not have happened.
As soon as you saw it was going to be a Game 7, every school should have said canceled out Thursday and Friday. Thursday because you're staying up late to watch the game, and Friday because, you have the parade.
And by the way, Schwarber will join us. Kyle Schwarber comes out.
Schwarber.
As you said, he might be pre-gaming. I think he'll be in full game.
Good for him.
It'll be game.
I mean, just about all the guys on this team, they're like 3 years removed of having a team meeting at Chuck E. Cheese.
Also true. They are a young bunch.
6 starters again on this crew that are 24 or younger. So the parade starts at 10 Central, 11 Eastern. It starts at Wrigley, and it moves along, Michigan Ave to Oak to Ohio Streets. Then it moves to Columbus Drive from Monroe Street to Balboa Drive. And then I think a rally was at noon their time, so 1 o'clock Eastern.
I think time will cease to matter.
Just for the people to know when to get where you need to get.
Yeah, I think in Chicago, time has stopped.
The rally
for a long
place
time
at Lower Hutchinson Field at noon Central Time, Chicago time. So, listen, people have a ball. I mean, the play. I love how they say too that when they have out there. There are 3 parts. The 3 parts I mentioned where they would like people to go, where the vehicles carrying the team will be proceeding slowly at. Quote, it's in quotes.
Correct.
Parade speed. Well, what else are they going to do? Go zipping by? They putting in Formula One cars?
Hey, 108 years, see you.
Yeah, they're each in Formula One cars.
Quick, take a look, Frank.
I mean, at parade speed. This is a parade. This is a championship parade. Did you really feel the need to put parade speed?
This should be at like century-long parade speed, okay? This should be like blue hair alert, okay? Behind the wheel, you're going this slow.
You know who else should be in this parade?
Yes.
Ferris Bueller.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
You know who else should be in this parade?
Who?
Steve Bartman.
Steve Bartman.
And by the way, that's been brought up, and actually a spokesman for Steve Bartman has said he's overjoyed, and he's not going to be a part of it because he doesn't want to be a part of it. He doesn't want to be a sideshow. Steve, this is your moment. Come back to the fold.
Yeah.
Chicago, the Chicago Cubs should somehow mention and honor Steve Bartman at this parade because it's long overdue. He wasn't the reason you lost.
No,
in
he absolutely wasn't.
That's all a bunch of garbage, and I hope it all comes together. And the interesting thing, too, and I picked up watching this in Game 7 when they clinched it. The ratings are very similar. In fact, it's the highest-rated World Series since the 2004 World Series when the Red Sox swept the Cardinals to win their first championship since 1917 or 1918.
1918.
The White Sox were 17. So, obviously that's one of the reasons why this series has been the ratings have been so great because it was that same curse-breaking drama unfolding. But I remember after the 2004 World Series where they asked a couple of players, and specifically closer Keith Folk, who came over late in the season, maybe late in the season, maybe at the trade deadline, maybe a little before, from Oakland to the Red Sox, and he closed it out. And they're like, I remember the broadcasters trying to say, hey, the city of Boston, the curse is broken, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, I don't know about that, man. We just won the World Series.
I mean, well, that's yeah.
And then the way the Cubs. It was a totally different tenor with them. I think this team, Rizzo, Bryant, Schwarber, they all understood that it wasn't just about this team in 2016 winning a World Series. It was about something that the city of Chicago, sorry, White Sox fans, had really been wanting for a long, long time, and they embraced that. They really, really did. It just seemed a little different along those lines.
I'm with you, and certainly every player is going to feel like this. I mean, you got a guy like Ben Zobrist who's holding up a World Series trophy last year with Kansas City and now the MVP trophy this year. Listen, I think players understand the significance, just how much it is seeped into their soul. I don't think it compares at all to the fans there.
No.
Especially the great stories. Some of the stories we told yesterday, Trey, of people calling their 94-year-old grandfather or grandmother or whatever. A guy drove from North Carolina to Indianapolis and sat at his father's grave and listened to the game. I mean, it's stuff that gives you chills. So this goes so much deeper than the players on this team. Again, as I mentioned, 6 of them are 24 or younger.
Right.
So it is the fans of Chicago that I think appreciate it the most about what was accomplished.
It's great that you say that because obviously you had a rooting interest the other way.
Yeah.
And the Indians are next up. I guess they're next on the deck in terms of drought for a World Series championship. But to that point, I kept finding myself looking at some of these YouTube clips about 90-year-old nannies and grandmothers and grandfathers and their grandkids. They're celebrating with them, and it was powerful, man.
Yeah, it was.
Because
it was.
For all the crap that sports gets, well, they're all overpaid prima donnas, and they're all, they're bad things, and they're using these drugs and all the bad stuff you hear. The stuff that came out of this World Series on the Cleveland side as well as the Cubs side was everything that was right about sports and everything that made you want to be a part of sports. Sports is the only thing that can bring a community together in a way with such unbelievable, unbridled joy, more than anything else you could imagine. It'll bring people that have nothing in common together, and they'll find something to absolutely be ecstatic about, or on the other side of it, be absolutely gutted about. And some of those shots of the fans sitting in Progressive Field just trying to soak in the fact that, oh, my God, it happened again.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. There's nothing close to sports along those lines where you will find a community somehow tied together for that one brief moment, whether it's, an hour, 2 hours, 3 days, or whatever. There is nothing. Yeah. There is literally nothing in life that can draw people together for that certain amount of time than a championship with your favorite team.
I agree, and in more ways than one, because we metered out the dates, so it'd be early in August to see how many new babies are born.
Yes.
After Wednesday night as well. And then there's that side of it. We laugh a little bit. And then
Meet
there's
little Zobrist.
There you go. And then there's the money side of it. How about this? The Cubs championship gear, not shocking at all, setting records. The Cubs' first 24 hours of sales will approach $70 million in retail sales, which would make it, according to our Darren Ravel, the hottest post-game championship market of all time. And that is the least stunning news you could ever hear.
No, absolutely.
That they're going to set records
They
there.
want a piece of it. They want, I mean, you know, I saw one guy, one of the YouTubes, he had a beer from 1984 that he was going to drink when they won the World Series in 84, and he kept it.
Better have a chaser.
They just opened it and poured it. Yeah. And it did not go well, so they decided not to ingest it.
It's probably a good move.
He held on to a can of beer since 1984 that he was going to have to celebrate, and he started to drink it, and someone was like, no, don't drink it. Just look at it. Pretend like you're drinking it.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you, if I was one of the players, first thing I'd have done is I'd have taken the ball out of Rizzo's pocket. Did you see what he caught that ball?
How smart is he?
Oh, he did it in the LCS as well.
No Doug Mankiewicz situation here. I don't know what happened to that ball. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, so that in the pig pile, I'd have grabbed that ball. Hang on to that thing.
Wouldn't be the first time you've done that in the pig pile.
Okay.
Hey-oh! Oh, that's a football scrum.
But yet true.
Also accurate. Now I have to tell this story. About there's Rizzo pocketing the ball right now if you're watching it on ESPN2. That was the first thing my eye went to.
Yeah.
But now that I went there, I have to bring up this story when my son was first playing Little League football. What we called it was the Mud Hogs.
That's where my boy started.
And they were saying you had to wear protective devices down there. And he was like, Dad, it's really uncomfortable, blah, 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 blah. And I went to you and I said, they're saying he has to wear this. What do you think? He goes, I never wore one once in your life.
Never. Players don't wear.
They just don't.
Not the way you fall all the time. There would be way too much pinching.
Correct.
That would go on.
And
every now and then you catch a shot. Your eyes water a little bit. You become a little more of a man or a little less of a man.
First tenor.
There you go. Yeah. But, no, you don't wear one.
Because you were my go-to guy. It's like, I got to ask you.
No.
You're like, don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, we're all in.
No
problem.
You don't go commando either.
No. There's no Kramer, just a thin layer of gabardine. That's not what we're doing here. By the way, Fake Hembo is just cringing over there right now. He's absolutely like, I can't believe we're going down this discussion.
That is awesome.
But you know what? That's Straight Talk.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, half the cost. So if we're talking Straight Talk and we're talking football, Richard Sherman of the Seahawks.
Yes.
Maybe one of the most interesting and intelligent players in the league. And many times I think the social conscience of the league. Something we talked about with Herm last hour, the issue of the ratings and why the NFL isn't as incredibly over-the-top good as it has been in recent years, and we talked about that a little bit last hour. Here's what Richard Sherman had to say about some of the reasons he thinks that might be the case.
The league isn't fun anymore. Every other league, you see the players have a good time. It's a game. This isn't politics. This isn't justice. This is entertainment. And they're no longer allowing the players to entertain. They're no longer allowing the players to show any kind of personality, any kind of uniqueness, any individuality, because they want to control the product. Their biggest ploy is that you don't want to be a bad influence to kids. You don't want to be a bad role model. And I can agree with that. But in the same breath, you can't say Budweiser is the official sponsor of the NFL and we're trying to influence kids. So, there's a ton of hypocrisy, but it doesn't matter because we don't control it. Most celebrated part of football used to be the violence. They don't care about player safety. I've said this several times. But they do care about paying the quarterback $20 million and him missing the season. They do care about that. So whether they get to say player safety or whatever it is, they're tired of $20 million quarterback sitting on the bench on IR for the whole season.
Listen,
I could listen to him talk about a lot of stuff.
There are some things I agree with and some things I disagree with. I do think the league cares about player safety, but the league makes it sound like it's number one on their list, and it's not.
Money is.
It could be, and you know what? When you break it down, isn't that true of just about every company out there?
Correct.
But the problem is when you try when the perception is our number one focus is player safety, and I do think they're concerned about player safety, but when you make it sound like it's number one on the list, when it really isn't number one on the list, and by the way, that's okay, but don't make it sound that way. It can be on the list of things, trying at rules, no more, missiling, no more, head down, and I get all that, and I agree with all that, because
that's fine.
All that was legal when I was playing, and I agree with that, and that should be out of the game. So there are elements to the rules they are doing for player safety, because we see most of the calls against the DBs hitting the receivers. There's the fines. They do protect the quarterback. I get that. They want those guys out there. But most of those calls are against the DBs and wide receivers. So I am happy they are taking that part of it out of the game. I do believe they're concerned about player safety, but it is down the list. It's not number one on the list. And I completely agree with there's part of me that just says to the NFL a little bit at times, just back off a little bit.
Absolutely.
Just back off a little bit and don't micromanage every little thing, because they do then. Now, again, this gets into reasons of why you don't watch. Is it because players aren't having fun? Well, I don't know if that's going to be a reason. Does somebody not watch because somebody can't do a dance in the end zone? I don't know if that's a reason somebody doesn't watch anymore. As I said, I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. But from the player's perspective, I can see it. I see things you just kind of shake your head at. I said it in college. I've never seen refs stare so hard at players as when they score a touchdown, like don't do anything that brings anything to yourself, or they want to throw a flag in. And then in the NFL, where they actually had to make up a video of celebration, you can dance, but don't move your hips. Don't gyrate your hips. Don't shoot an arrow. It's just, it gets to the point where it does seem like, and I don't think this is the main reason, but we're talking about a myriad of reasons. It's one of them. I think there's too much micromanagement.
I think it's a bigger reason than they maybe want to admit. Look, it's hard. This game is hard. Scoring a touchdown is not easy. It is difficult. There are people literally doing whatever they can to stop you from getting into the end zone, and they would very much like it for you to hurt when they try and stop you from getting into the end zone. It has become an incredibly rigid game that they're allowing them to play or not play, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And expression is important. He is exactly right, Richard, when he says this is entertaining.
It is. It's exactly right.
It's supposed to be entertaining. They threw a flag, and they picked it up, but they threw a flag on Emmanuel Sanders a couple weeks ago for doing a cartwheel in the end zone. And then they picked it up. Well, it wasn't with another player. It wasn't long. Who cares?
They actually broke it down.
Who cares?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Who really cares? And look, the throat slash thing I hate. It's been out of the game forever.
As I said.
But like, for example, Crabtree scored a touchdown the other day, and he wiped off his shoulder like, I'm just taking – you guys are lint on my – and they said it was a throat slash. It wasn't a throat slash. Guys, let them breathe.
Let them
breathe out there.
As I said, even like the baseball celebrations, let them celebrate more. The days of running around the bases with your head down, celebrate some. And there's limits. Sure. I don't want it to another team. Don't celebrate what you did. Don't do it at the other team. Do it with your teammates or the fans if it's a home game. I'm all for it. You don't want props? That's fine. I get it. You don't want a guy bringing out a pen or using one of the down markers or something. I get it. But holy smokes. He is right. This is entertainment. And let them entertain. Let them. There needs to be. It seems like almost like the NCAA with their rules, and you understand it to a point. Like you got to suppress everything, because if you let one thing go, then the crack opens more and more, and it bleeds into other things. So that's their thought process. And I think with the NFL,
understand that.
I'm with you. I'm with you, because it is entertainment. But is that the only reason? No. Is it a reason because the players in the league don't get along? No. If I'm sitting there on Sunday as a fan watching a game, literally, do I care if James Harrison doesn't like Roger Goodell? Does that matter to me if I'm a fan? So I don't know how much that is a reason for it. I'd really like a real poll. There's so many polls out there.
Put it up on a poll.
No.
Do it again. Put it up on a poll. Let's go. Real reasons. Put it up there.
But the bottom line is,
Hey, Kembo, get on that.
When that's been done, it's been a ton of different reasons, right?
Yeah.
It has. And I don't know what the main reason is. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of conflict, and I think there's a lot of there's a lot of angst whenever you talk about anything in the NFL, whether it's the players against the team, whether it's the celebration, whether it's the issues and player safety. I think there's just a lot of when you talk about it, and it used to be a lot of.
Not a lot of, hey, man,
right?
what a great game we
got,
man.
Let's let it all hang out.
Let it go do your thing.
That's exactly right. I think that for a million of those little reasons, but they're all sort of tense and they're all sort of like this. And you can't play that game this way. It is, you ever seen that video that Kenny Chesney did, The Boys Will Fall?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You have those high school coaches saying all the ridiculous things to get their kids fired up. But the one guy who's screaming at the top of his lungs, this is an emotional game.
Yeah. You
can't play it without emotion, And I want to say, dude, dial it down by like 100. But he's right. You cannot go out there like robots.
Yeah.
That is the exact opposite of how everything should be played with this game. It has to be organic. It has to be within. It has to boil up from inside your soul. It has to explode out of every one of your fingertips.
I agree.
It seems like they're reeling that in.
I agree. So I guess at the end of it,
we're getting worked up.
But the thing is, we spout out all these reasons, and what's the answer? You know what I mean? I mean, what?
Put it on a poll. What's the answer? Put it up. Poll, what's the answer? Let's go.
What's the answer? I don't know what the answer is, because there's a lot of questions as to why the ratings are down. So I don't know what the actual answer is going to be, but we certainly can find reasons for why ratings are down. But as you mentioned, it's all relative. They're down to a point where every league would still love those ratings, because remember, we were comparing World Series, a great storyline World Series with the Cubs, to regular season football, and it was beating it. Now, that's something that usually hadn't happened.
Correct.
And it was doing it, but still, when you look at it, when you back up and look at it, you say, okay, they're still king in football, but it is definitely, you know what? You have to start looking around a little more and say, wait a minute, this is just slipping a little bit. We need to catch it before it slips too far.
Well, that's the thing. Look, we're raving about the World Series ratings, and they've been great. But if this is the Super Bowl rating, people are like, what the heck happened?
Oh, yeah.
So everything happens in a vacuum, and we get it. There's a million reasons. But it does make you want to just say, can't we just enjoy it a little more?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what, it's like that line from North Dallas 40. Great movie, kids. If you're under the age of 35, you should probably look it up.
I've said it is, in my opinion, the most realistic football movie that was made. But I know the line you're going to say, and you're right.
Yeah, because the coach's name is B.A., and the player, played by Nick Nolte, I can't remember his name, but he's like, B.A., every time we say it's a game, you say it's a business. Every time we say it's a business, you say it's a game.
Right.
The bottom line, it is a business. It is a business of a game,
right.
But it is a game.
It is a game.
It should be played with joy and passion, and that's the thing.
We have lost some of that.
That has been lost in this process. You know what that was? By the way, that was Straight Talk.
It sounded like
Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage of America's largest and most dependable network.
You're doing well with it.
Whew, I'm all spent.
Yep.
Coming up, Ron Jaworski's going to take a break from watching film to help us preview Week 9 in the NFL. But first, Mike, if you will, a word from La Quinta.
Okay, winning on the football field means giving 110%, if that's possible. Just like winning on the field of business travel.
Thank you for that.
You got it.
You
got it. La Quinta's Inns and Suites totally get that, so make it part of your game plan to book direct at LQ.com for La Quinta's lowest price guaranteed. You got to love that. Then next time you hit the road for business, don't let the road hit back. Score a great night's rest knowing you got La Quinta's best price. So you can wake up, suit up, go make that next deal 110% better or 100% better. Prepare to win a business. Book now at LQ.com. We're back after this, Mike and Mike.
Approaching 3 minutes to play in the third. Ryan from under center. Gonna jump it for Jones. Makes the catch. Held on. Touchdown Atlanta. And Vernon Hargraves tries to get a master's degree tonight against Julio Jones.
Well, if you're watching on ESPN2, that's why Julio Jones got the nickname Xerxes.
Unbelievable.
He is a Greek god.
Yeah, he is.
The Falcons beat the Bucs 43-28. Matt Ryan, just unbelievable numbers. 344 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Falcons moved to 6-3 and really have put some distance between themselves and the rest of the division in the NFC South. In the NBA, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook did not shake hands. or do direct messages. However, Durant, a season-high 39, 29 in the first half, 7 threes as the Warriors rout the Thunder 122-96. And, of course, all hail Chicago.
Yep.
It is going to be the least productive day in the history of commerce in the Windy City. It's parade day for the World Series champion Cubs. Starts at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 Eastern.
Pretty impressive there. Going to be a great time for them. Fans will enjoy that. That's Sports Center brought to you by AutoZone. We're giving you a chance to be on the road with us to the national championship game. Just be listening every weekday for your chance to win the Mike and Mike on the road to the college football playoff sweepstakes presented by AutoZone. Go to Mike's Road to the CFP.com for all the official rules. Trey Wingo in for Greeny, and that word of the day, the first time is coming up
a little bit, right?
15 minutes. 15. We're telling you when the word is. Telling you. So you can enter. I'll tell you the ways you can enter, and you and a guest can come down to the national championship game with Greeny and I. There's going to be 15 winners. I got 5 of them here. I'll name for you in a little bit. It's been a great contest, great reaction to it. All you have to do is enter the word of the day 15 minutes from now.
Just to be clear, it's an actual word this time.
It's a word.
Because the staff has really screwed.
They're unbelievable. But when we say staff, it's Brooksy.
Brooksy? Brooksy, what are you doing?
He's horrific.
7 was very confusing.
Very confusing.
Very confusing. So it's an actual word, not a compound word that could be taken apart.
Could be 2 words or 1 word. Every time we do these contests, Brooksy lives on the edge of getting fired.
I'm trying to figure out how they could mess it up the next time. Maybe it'll be a Greek word.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a word in a foreign language that nobody knows how to spell.
Be a delta sign or something. No
an
idea.
umlaut.
Oh,
it's an umlaut. That's what it is. It's not an actual word. It's a form of punctuation.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, Mike and Mike, we're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, like our next guest, who, I give him grief about this almost every time, but he once had a great matchup of tape, and he said, this play was designed to work, as some plays are not designed to work. Ron Jaworski was designed to work, and he joins us now on Mike and Mike. Jaws, how are you?
I am doing great. I love when you take your shots, Trey. Come on, bring it on.
Come on, Jaws. Come on, baby. How we doing? So, listen, we've been talking a lot about this morning because of obviously what's gone on Thursday night. Is Matt Ryan the MVP right now?
It's way too early, but Matt Ryan is playing at a very high level. We were having this discussion last week about Matthew Stafford. There are certainly quite a few players at the midway point of the season, entering Week 9, that are playing at MVP level, and clearly Matt Ryan is one of those players. I love what they're doing offensively, the balance that they have between the run and the pass, how they use their running backs as pass receivers. So clearly all the arrows pointing up for Matt Ryan.
Why is he basically the way he's going right now? He can double his touchdown total from last year and cut his interceptions in half. I mean, which is just going to be remarkable statistically. Why is it so different this year?
Throws under pressure. Go back to last season. The offensive line did not do a good enough job protecting Matt Ryan. Clearly, Alex Mack comes in. He solidifies the interior of the offensive line, and all of a sudden, Matt Ryan looks like a rock-solid NFL quarterback again. The quarterback position is a dependent position. You depend on other people doing their job so you can excel at doing your job. Right now, the supporting cast is very good, particularly the O-line, much improved in Atlanta.
Jaws with us here on Mike and Mike in the morning. And Jaws, I love what you just said there because to me that has always been the appeal of football. You can be the best at your position, but if you don't have people around you that are adequate at their jobs, it doesn't matter. And to me, that's why football has always been my favorite sport. It's the most team-oriented sport along those lines. In the NBA, you have 1 or 2 players. You can shift the dynamic, and you have a chance to win a championship every year. Baseball, as we saw in the World Series, is really about one thing: the pitcher versus the batter. And look, obviously fielding matters. There were a couple of shots at Jason Hayward in Game 7 that were hit hard but went right to him in right field. But the thing that makes football special is what you just said. There are so many things that have to happen around you for any player to be good at his job. It is the ultimate team concept sport.
It is the consummate team game, and you neglected to mention coaches, and I believe coaching is so important in the NFL, teaching in the NFL, putting players in a position to be successful, managing the game for those players, teaching technique, doing all the little things that make teams a world championship group of players. So I think clearly it is the consummate team game.
Another team with the arrow going up on them this year is the Oakland Raiders, and some people thought they would see that this year, and you are. And one of the big reasons is their quarterback play of what Derek Carr is doing. It's been really amazing. Now they're going to play Denver this week, so big test there with that defense. But when we talk about quarterbacks like 25 and under, he seems to be the man right now. What's working so well with him?
One of the statements I make, and it's kind of it makes sense once you think about it. Derek Carr will make throws now without access to the results. And what I mean by that is, as I watch quarterbacks, some guys are afraid to pull the trigger unless they see the guy wide open or they don't anticipate. What I'm seeing now is Derek Carr willing to make those throws when there's tight coverage, trusting his receiving core to make plays. Much better anticipating where the receiver's going to be long before the receiver gets there. So I think those type of anticipation throws, the confidence and trust he now has in his receiving core, and again, back to the offensive line, like Matt Ryan in Atlanta, the offensive line is doing a tremendous job right now in Oakland. In fact, as I've tracked this offensive line, they've only given up 2 sacks. Now, Carr's been sacked more than that, but only 2 could I attribute to the offensive line out in Oakland.
And, Jaws, that sets up a really tremendous matchup tonight, and the game within the game, or the matchup within the matchup, is always so much fun. That pressure that the front seven of Denver always likes to create going up against that great offensive line from the Oakland Raiders. And speaking of great offensive lines, obviously that's a big reason why Dallas has done so well. Dak Prescott on Sunday night, for the first time, Jaws, looked like a fourth-round pick for the first 3 quarters of that game against the Eagles. He was unsteady. He was inaccurate. He was hesitant with his throws. And then, you talk about the clutch gene, and you want that guy to have that sort of understanding of the moment. And, boy, once the fourth quarter rolled around when they were 10 down, he marched him right down the field a couple of times. And then in overtime, he was like, forget it, you're not getting the ball, we're scoring. Took the Cowboys on an unbelievable touchdown drive to win that game. It was almost as if after 3 quarters of playing really pretty poorly, he decided, no, I'm going to go ahead and win this game.
Trey, that may be the defining moment for Dak Prescott's career, that fourth quarter. For 3.5 quarters, he struggled, not only with watching the game on television. When I came in and looked at the tape, the Eagles brought pressure on him. They used a lot of zone blitz schemes. They got him playing fast. They got him out of his calm demeanor, the way he was playing the game. He struggled for 3.5 quarters. That being said, as you just mentioned, with the game on the line, he was able to regain his composure. He was terrific down the stretch and in the overtime. That says a lot mentally about Dak Prescott. Not every game is going to go your way. It's going to be clean. It's going to be perfect. And yet, with the game on the line, he regained that composure. And while I'm talking about Dak, I got to mention this Cowboys offensive line and
Tremendous.
the job that Frank Pollock has done. We talk about coaching a lot and how the offensive line, I think, has been deteriorating in this league because of lack of practice time. But when I watch this Cowboys offensive line, Frank Pollock, an old NFL lineman himself, worked under Bill Callahan down there in Dallas. I mean, they are versatile. They are well coached. They are disciplined. Their orchestration of their footwork is phenomenal as a group. I give a lot, and now we talk about this O-line a lot, but they're well coached. They're well disciplined. They know what they're doing. They work in harmony. I mean, all the good things you like to see from an offensive line is happening down in Dallas.
Jaws joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Trey Wingo in for Greeny. Trey has his lower back tattoo of the Dallas Star as well with that last question.
It's an upper chest tattoo. I want to be clear about it.
Can I see that?
Hey, nobody wants to see that, Jaws.
That's the most crucial thing you'll say in your entire radio career.
Hey, Jaws, Norv Turner resigns. We have now had 4 offensive coordinating changes, starting with the Bills to Baltimore to Jacksonville and now Minnesota since week 2. What gives with that?
The other three were fired. I have ultimate respect for what Norv Turner did. Norv Turner is one of the best coaches this league has ever seen, from a quarterback's perspective, from a coordinating an offense perspective. He's won Super Bowl championships. The guy flat out knows how to coach. And I think what he saw in Minnesota, it wasn't working. They've struggled the last two games. I mean, they were atrocious against Chicago and Philadelphia offensively. And here's where I have the respect for Norv Turner. A lot of these guys hang out and they get a paycheck and they say, hey, I'll do this for the rest of my life. Norv Turner said, you know what? My coaching isn't resonating with these guys. We got Sam Bradford here. We got Pat Shurmur here, who coached Sam in St. Louis with the Rams, who coached him in Philadelphia last year when he had a good year. I'm going to step aside for the good of the team and the organization. I thought it was a classy move on the part of Norv Turner, and I applaud what he did, and I have unbelievable respect for making that very difficult decision.
It certainly was, and Jaws, we applaud you for just being here with us today. And I think that
I appreciate the applause.
Well, listen, who doesn't? In fact, right, Jaws, listen real quick. There it is. There it is.
Great job, Jaws. Thanks,
Jaws,
man.
I want you to know that most Cowboy fans are hoping that game will not be the defining moment of Dak Prescott's career.
You're not kidding.
They'd like to see
a few
other
more.
things.
Yeah.
It might have been so far.
Hey, from a mental standpoint, he responded from adversity, and that's a telltale sign to me.
Thanks, Jaws. Jaws, we appreciate it. Thanks for being with us. Ron Jaworski here. By the way, Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. In November, Progressive is giving thanks for our military service men and women by donating over 100 vehicles to veterans in need through its Keys to Progress program. To learn more, to go to progressive.com/keys to progress. Coming up, here it comes.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Yes.
The winning word. You don't want to miss your chance to go to the college football playoff, and we're told it is actually an English word.
There you go.
That's next. But first, Dollar Shave Club away, Mike.
All right, guys. We love our Dollar Shave Club. They've been with us for a while now. The shave is fantastic, but you have to know they have other amazing products as well, stuff for your hair, your face, for everywhere to keep you feeling and looking fresh. Now, if you're not a member and have never joined Dollar Shave Club, now's the time. You get that first month of razors for free. All you do is pay shipping, and that's only a few bucks. So joining today is going to be fantastic for you. And to do that, go to dollarshaveclub.com/Mike. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Mike. We're back after this on Mike and Mike.
Cintas, getting you ready for the...
SportsCenter brought to you by Lowe's. Get your home in shape for the season with huge savings right now at Lowe's, where you'll find great deals on all your winter needs. So hurry into your neighborhood store today to make your home happy all season long.
All right, that was SportsCenter. Mike and Mike rolls on. That music means something, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It does. It's time for somebody to win something big.
Winners every day, gang.
I want winners.
I go back. I am very happy with what's gone on with this. The first trip we gave away a few years ago, we gave one winner and their guest a trip to Hawaii. A lovely guy, real nice dude.
Let me just say, if you have to win one thing,
that's a good one to win.
That's a good one to win.
And the one thing Greeny and I had said after that was we want more winners. We want to take groups of people.
Want winners.
Yeah. So, listen, they responded, and AutoZone has been great in heading us up for us. We are going to have 15 winners because you're winning every day. Every day. There's going to be a grand prize winner today. We're having 15 of them, and you all get to bring a guest so we can have 30 people coming with us to the national championship game in Tampa to watch, as Greeny said, Alabama probably beat somebody. And the winning word for today is we've made it very simple. We're not messing with Brooksy at all today. Nothing. What day is it today?
It is Friday.
That's the word.
It's a football Friday.
That's the word. The word is Friday.
But it's not Friday like spelled weird or in a different language because it's been like digits that could have been compound words. It's not /day.
Been ridiculous.
It's just Friday.
It's just the two-syllable word Friday.
They got it right.
There you go.
Friday. Got it right.
Friday. We always have to spell it.
Friday.
No.
Friday.
You're confusing people. Friday is the word, and here's
a Friday. You have a fish fry.
There you go.
Fry, Fry.
Don't do that.
Sorry, I'm kidding. America, listen to Golick. It's the only time I'll ever say this.
Let me just
listen
say,
to Golick.
if anybody spells it wrong, I'm punching you in the throat.
Friday, F-R-I-D-A-Y. That's an I, not a Y.
There you go.
F-R-I-D-A-Y.
Only 2 ways to enter, and this is where people mess up a lot. You enter a different way, and there's nothing we can do about that for you. You have to enter these 2 ways, and you can enter both these ways. So
double down.
Text the word Friday to 777-000 or enter that word online at Mike's Road to the CFP.com. So you text to 777-000 or enter online Mike's Road to the CFP.com. You and a guest treated like kings and queens on your trip to Tampa Bay. Dinners at our show, prime seating, tailgates, tickets to the game will be there as well. It's great stuff. All you have to do is enter the word
And
Friday.
how do you spell that word again?
F-R-I-D-A-Y.
Friday. All right, so that's down the road. Obviously, the championship game is going to be a lot of fun. But now let's look ahead to this weekend's games. Kirk Herbstreit will tell you which one you won't want to miss. Here's Herbstreit's $1 Million Moment, brought to you by Eckridge.
Well, fellas, it's the opening weekend of college football in the month of November, and this is when you start to separate yourself. This is when you have that defining moment. And it takes you to the SEC this week, where game day will be. It's Alabama and LSU. Alabama's coming off a bye week. LSU is coming off a bye week. Keep in mind, LSU, since Ed Orgeron has taken over, they've not lost a game, and they seem to get stronger every single week. And now comes, of course, their big test at home against Alabama. If there's something you want to watch within the game, it's Leonard Fournette. Came back against Ole Miss and looked as strong as ever. Had the bye week to get rested that much more. Keep in mind last year, 19 carries, 31 yards. He was the Heisman frontrunner going into that game, lost it that weekend. If there's one guy that wants to avenge the Tigers' performance when they went to Alabama, it's Leonard Fournette. How will he do this time at home against that same Alabama defense?
Herbie, thanks, fella. Find out how you can join Kirk at the 2017 National Championship game by visiting EckridgeFootball.com and a shot at your $1 Million Moment.
9 o'clock hour Eastern time, Joey Galloway and Herbie are both going to join us. And, you know, that is the game. And Fournette just got hammered last year by that defense. And listen, it's very difficult to get handed the ball. You need some help up front. Yeah. And they ran more of that pro-style offense that you're not going to win against Bama. And people are wondering what Orgeron's done. Obviously, the offense is a little different, but it's not still the style of offense, in my opinion, that can beat Alabama. I see maybe, that Auburn at the end of the year in the Iron Bowl we'll see, or we saw what happened with Clemson and Deshaun Watson, how close they made the title game. I still don't think that offense is different enough to handle the defense of Alabama, which is absolutely stifling. So I just don't see it happening for LSU.
Well, that is the point, isn't it? I mean, they had so many great picks on that Alabama defense a year ago. This team and this defense is probably a lot better. A lot better.
As I said, they're a boa constrictor. They just slowly squeeze the life out of it.
I think what McShay said, there might be 7 first-round picks on that draft.
They're unreal.
Defense. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
so I'm
really
glad
is.
Leonard Fournette is healthy. But you know what? Bama's defense is just as healthy or maybe even healthier than it was a year ago, and we saw how that happened. Stay with us.
When you're opening a new office location, but deadlines don't let up, you need to make sure your team can start working fast, which means all of a sudden, you're looking to buy new conference tables, chairs, laptops, and whiteboards quickly. Business cards from American Express Open can give you buying power to help cover the big purchases you need to make when you need to make them. Find out how American Express cards and services can help prepare you for growth at open.com.
Football lives here. LSU is 3-0 since Ed Orgeron took over as head coach, and they've averaged over 41 points in those 3 wins.
LSU has a significant lead late.
Up next, the #1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide storms into Death Valley for a huge SEC showdown Saturday night.
Fumble! Alabama's got the football!
Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Oregon brings an offense averaging over 40 points per game into the Coliseum to face the red-hot USC Trojans. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, presented by Dr. Pepper.